Good evening, I am Tashron Tyson, in with you over here in the news package for today, Tuesday, 3rd December 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Team Unity not dismayed by failure of Prime Minister Bill and seeking to take a different approach, and 2020 budget presented in Nevis Island Assembly budget debate commences tomorrow. Regionally, High Court judge to rule on Dominica electoral reform matter. Internationally, President Trump blasts Macron brain-dead comments of NATO as nasty. And in sports, Barcelona forward Lionel Messi wins Ballon d'Or for record 6th time, while Megan Rapinoe wins Women's Ballon d'Or. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. On Thursday, November 28th, parliamentarians gathered at the National Assembly on St. Kitts for a sitting where some 7 bills were stated to be presented. Of the 7 bills which garnered much public interest was the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis, tenure of the Office of the Prime Minister Amendment Bill 2019. The bill sought to make an amendment to Section 52 of St. Kitts and Nevis's Constitution. With the amendment, representatives shall not hold office as Prime Minister for more than 2 terms. Following presentations and debate on the bill by both sides of the aisle, the bill was shot down on Friday, November 29th, but not gaining sufficient votes to be passed in the House. With the governing team, Unity, not gathered enough votes for the bill to be passed, will they seek to bring the bill to the fore again? Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, General Sean Richards, explained how the Team Unity administration intends to have this bill passed into law.
We hope to increase the number of seats that Team Unity has in the National Assembly at the end of the next election. Once we are able to achieve such, it becomes much easier for Team Unity to be able to bring back this bill to Parliament and have the necessary votes to effect that change.
The Honourable Sean Richards. Members of the opposition did not attend Parliament on Friday, November 28th, to cast their vote on the bill. Building resilience, improving infrastructure for long-term development, a harmonized approach to economic growth. And that's the theme for the 2020 budget, which was presented in the Nevis Island Assembly today, Tuesday, December 3rd. Additionally, Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, Honourable Mark Brantley, read a first time the Nevis Appropriation 2020 Bill 2019. The purpose of the bill, which is to the tune of $239,713,000 EC dollars, is to appropriate certain sums of money for the use of the public service of the island of Nevis for the financial year commencing on the 1st day of January 2020 and ending on the 31st day of December 2020. According to the Premier, the 2020 budget represents an 11% reduction when compared to the 2019 budget of $269.6 million EC dollars. The budget debate will commence on Wednesday, December 4th at 10 a.m. at the Assembly's chambers in Charlestown, and it will be carried live here on VON Radio 860 AM as well as www.vonradio.com. As the 2020 elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis draws nearer, political parties and candidates are stepping up their rhetoric. With political jargons coming into play, accusations of defamation and tarnishing of character and various incidents occurring with political parties blaming the opponents, this begs the question, what will become of the political arena in 2020? The latest political accusations come from former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKN LP, Dr. Noble Denzil Douglas.
I understand it's a major problem because none of the leaders of the other two factions that support him in this unity team, that is the Premier and the Deputy Prime Minister, CAM and CCM, they are saying we are not going to identify him before the elections as a possible Prime Minister if they happen to get enough seats. So he has a real problem. It is provocation in order maybe to try to push off the elections all the way down. He said he has until August. But I said to you, if the 16th of February comes next year, and we are not yet at the polls, things will change.
His comments made to the VON Newsline on Thursday, 28th November, came following accusations he claims were made from the office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, that he was arrested and detained in London and some $98,000 in various currencies were found in his luggage. But is there any truth to this statement made by the former Prime Minister? We contacted Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and leader of the People's Action Movement, Honorable Sean Richards, for his take on the matter.
Saying absolutely nothing of what the leader of the opposition is saying. The unity government remains a unity government. We have said quite publicly that we intend to support Dr. Harris as the next Prime Minister for St. Kitts and Nevis. Unlike the former Prime Minister who had a motion of no confidence looming over him for 2 years, this isn't the case with Dr. Harris. And so I think one can dismiss the rubbish coming from the leader of the opposition, who is obviously trying to create mischief amongst the three entities which comprise Team Unity and also amongst the persons who support Team Unity.
The Honorable Sean Richards. The VON Newsline was unable to contact the Honorable Mark Brantley for comment. In more national news.
We are committed to banning single-use plastics and styrofoam in fiscal year 2020 and propose to work closely with the federal government to ensure that this ban comes into effect in the new year.
Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brantley. This also forms part of his Concerned Citizens Movement CCM-led administration's effort to end single-use plastic here on Nevis. According to the BalanceSMB.com, every year approximately 1.6 million barrels of oil are used to producing plastic water bottles. Plastic waste is one of the many types of waste that takes very long to decompose and can take up from 10 to 1,000 years to decompose. In light of this, the Honorable Premier made this statement.
We will mandate our supply office during fiscal year 2020 to immediately identify suitable suppliers for these plastic replacement items and to have them in stock for sale here on the island of Nevis. We wish to implore our business community to voluntarily join in this effort of substituting biodegradables for single-use plastics and styrofoam.
Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brantley. Still in national news.
During the period January to October 2019, the administration collected VAT at our Inland Revenue Department on domestic services in the amount of $14.6 million, a 3.9% decrease when compared to the similar period in 2018, which saw a total of $15.2 million generated from VAT on domestic goods and services. This decrease was due principally to the 4-month closure of the Four Seasons Resort and its effects on other related sectors of the domestic economy.
That's Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley. Minister Brantley was at the time presenting the 2020 budget for the island of Nevis today, Tuesday, December 3rd. Value-added tax, VAT, is a consumption tax placed on a product whenever value is added at each stage of the supply chain from production to the point of sale. The amount of VAT that the consumer pays is on the cost of the product. He further explained that VAT collected at the Customs and Excise Department for the period January to October 2019 increased.
VAT was $13.5 million, representing a 4.7% increase when compared to the similar period in 2018, which generated VAT of $12.9 million. This was due in part to the uptick in construction and its related services, resulting from the major capital investment in the renovation of the Four Seasons property. The total VAT generated for the period January to October 2019 therefore amounted to $28.1 million. Based on this trend, it is clear that VAT expected to be collected for fiscal year 2019 will be on par with that collected during the previous fiscal year.
Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, Honorable Mark Brantley. A notice from the Office of the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis indicates that the next sitting of the National Assembly will be held on a Tuesday, 10th December. Parliamentarians will convene at the National Assembly chambers where the annual financial statement and budgetary proposals will be presented. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, will present the 2020 budget. The last sitting of the National Assembly was on Thursday, 28th November 2019, where some 7 bills were expected to be presented. Training continues here in St. Kitts and Nevis for law enforcement authorities to identify legal activities. The most recent was the training of personnel from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and the Immigration Department in identifying fraudulent documents and human trafficking. Some 30 officers took part in a 2-day training course from November 26th to the 27th at the Police Training School on the prevention and detection of fraud. The event was organized by the Embassy of the United States of America's Regional Security Office, RSO, and facilitated by Diplomatic Security Service, DSS Special Agent Ashley Wright, Criminal Fraud Investigator Rodney Holder, and Investigative Assistant Richard Smith. Speaking at the workshop, Special Agent Wright explained that the DSS worked along with immigration officials, the police, and other travel industry authorities to help them identify patterns in fraud. He further added that there have been a few notable cases over the past few years in which DSS has worked with authorities in various countries of the Eastern Caribbean on impersonators and fraudulent documents. This year, prevention and detection of fraud training was also conducted in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, St. Lucia, and Barbados. And finally, Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris has extended his condolences and those of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis to the family of a former Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Donald Cable, who has passed away at the age of 65 years. The retired, high-ranking public servant held the post from August 1st, 1992 to August 15th, 2003. The Prime Minister said Mr. Donald Cable last served the government as a member of the National Security Strategic Formulation Committee, and we were delighted and grateful that he accepted the call to duty as he always did throughout his life. Mr. Cable's career in the Customs Department spanned 33 years. He was appointed as clerk on October 1st, 1970, and promoted to senior clerk on April 1st, 1976, then later to executive officer on May 11th, 1979. Mr. Cable served as Assistant Comptroller of Customs from April 1st, 1985, and from time to time was appointed to perform the role of Acting Comptroller of Customs, before being promoted to the position of Comptroller of Customs in 1992. That's the National News segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com and check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
It's Christmas, and the Bank of Nevis Limited has special gifts just for you. Thinking about traveling to reconnect with family and friends, maybe purchasing gifts for your loved ones, or showing that special person in your life you care? Well, let's do it! Get an easy access loan up to $20,000 unsecured this season. Of course, that's not all. Our credit cards are easy to use and can be used anywhere in the world. So come and visit our Christmas tree this season for your mortgage, land, vehicle, and credit card presents. It's Christmas at the Bank of Nevis Limited, and we are improving the quality of life.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. Out of Dominica. High Court Judge Bernie Stevenson is expected to deliver her ruling in the election court matter brought about by members of the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM. The group is asking the court to issue an injunction to prevent the holding of the general elections stated for December 6, 2019. However, that matter is being fiercely defended in court by Lennox Lawrence, the lawyer for the President of Dominica, Heather Felix Evans, lawyer for Electoral Commission and the Chief Elections Officer, and Levi Peter, the Attorney General of Dominica. They are of the view that the court does not have jurisdiction to hear the matter. They are also contending that since the election writ by the President was issued, the election law which was available to the group was via election petition after the holding of the general elections. However, Cara Shillingford, the lawyer for the CCM, told the court that under the laws of Dominica, the group does have a constitutional right to approach the court. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has revealed that Dominica's former Prime Minister Oliver Sarafin tried to get his government to make a diplomatic appointment. Sarafin is featured in an Al Jazeera documentary. He was secretly recorded trying to sell a Dominican diplomatic passport for the exchange of money, an allegation Sarafin has categorically denied. Brown said over the weekend that Sarafin visited him at his office to strike a deal. However, his request was denied. He did come and presented his letter saying that he had a wealthy man who wanted to be appointed as ambassador, Prime Minister Brown said. Brown said, "I have a policy. From the time you said you want this from me and you are giving me this, the conversation ends," he explained. Antigua and Barbuda was featured in the Al Jazeera report, but the government was only criticized for taking too long to fire Alex Saad, a former Antigua diplomat who has since been indicted for money laundering. Out of Barbados. Former Attorney General of the United States Eric Holder has been awarded the honorary award of the Order of the Freedom of Barbados. His name was not included in the official 2019 National Honors List, but a government statement said Holder is being awarded for his distinguished and extraordinary service to Barbados, the Caribbean diaspora, and to humanity at large. The honor will be conferred on him by Governor General Dame Sandra Mason. The announcement was made at the formal ceremony for the presentation of honors on Independence Day on Saturday. Holder served as the first African-American Attorney General of the U.S. from 2009 to 2015. And finally, still in Barbados. A day before Barbados celebrated its 53rd anniversary of the independence from British rule, the man who wrote the National Assembly and also helped singer Harry Belafonte popularize calypso died at the age of 95. U.S. media reports say Irving Berge died last Friday in Brooklyn as a result of complications from heart failure. Prime Minister Mia Mottley confirmed his passing at the start of her speech at the annual Independence Parade on Saturday and called for a moment of silence. Berge, who was born in the United States but had a Barbadian mother, wrote about 35 songs for singer Harry Belafonte, including the classic tune Deo, the Banana Boat song. He was also a singer and performed under the moniker Lord Borges at venues such as the famed Village Vanguard in Manhattan. That's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. international news in detail. U.S. President Donald Trump has accused his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron of being nasty for saying NATO was brain dead. Mr. Trump is in London for a summit marking the Western Military Alliance's 70th anniversary. Mr. Trump said NATO served a great purpose, and Mr. Macron's remarks had been very insulting. He also said he could see France breaking off from NATO, but did not explain why. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was founded after World War II to counter the threat of Soviet expansion. The 29 member states pledged to come to the aid of one another should any come under attack. North Korea has officially opened a new town in its media is calling the epitome of modern civilization. Leader Kim Jong-un cut the red ribbon at Samgyeong, hailed as one of the country's most important construction projects. State media KCNA said the town, which is able to accommodate 4,000 families, boasts new apartments, a ski slope, and a stadium amongst other facilities. However, forced labor is said to have gone into the construction of Samgyeong. And the town, even if it lives up to the state media billing, will be an outliner in North Korea, with the majority of people living in poor conditions. Zimbabwe's former president Robert Mugabe died with $10 million in cash in the bank. A legal letter from his daughter quoted state media says. His other assets included 4 houses, 10 cars, a farm, and an orchard, but he appears not to have left a will, according to the family's lawyer. Mugabe, who died in September age 95, was ousted in 2017 after 37 years in power. There had always been rumors about his wealth, including a Scottish castle. But there was no mention of this in a letter by his daughter, Bona, to the High Court, quoted by the state-owned Daily Herald. Neither is there mention of other farms that he had been reported to have gained ownership of after they were seized during the country's controversial land reform program. And finally, Iranian state TV has said security forces killed what is called thugs and rioters during last month's mass protests against a petrol price rise. Activists have accused authorities of deliberately covering up the scale of the crackdown on the 4 days of unrest in more than 100 locations. Amnesty International has said at least 208 people were killed, but others have put the death toll at close to 400. A judiciary spokesman had dismissed such reports as utter lies. The authorities have not yet released any overall casualty figures. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Hello! Pick your discount and rotating discount sale.
Mama, baby, Johnny, get Christmas coming.
You heard right. Christmas is coming. And to make sure you are ready this weekend, shop Friday, 6 December. Get a different discount every hour with up to 35% off in store at the TDC Automotive Divisions, Home and Building Depots, TDC Business Center, and CDS Nevis Limited. And if you're at the cashier when the buzzer goes off, you get an additional 5% off your purchase. For real? Then, hold on Saturday, December 7th, pick your discount at all retail stores and shop your way to more savings with up to 30% discount. Get everything that you need for the holidays at the TDC retail stores this weekend, because TDC is Christmas. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Mama, baby, Johnny, get Christmas coming.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail in football. Barcelona forward Lionel Messi has won the Ballon d'Or award for the world's best player for a record 6th time. It is the It is the 32-year-old Argentine's first Ballon d'Or since 2015 and comes after he scored 54 times for club and country in 2018-2019, in which Barca won La Liga. Virgil van Dijk was second, one of 4 Liverpool players in the top 7, including Sadio Mane in 4th. Juventus and Portugal forward Cristiano Ronaldo, who has won the award 5 times, was 3rd in the voting. Meanwhile, Megan Rapinoe of the United States has won Women's Ballon d'Or for 2019, with England's Lucy Bronze the runner-up. Winger Rapinoe, 34, co-captained the U.S. to victory at this summer's World Cup, where she was named Player of the Tournament and finished just joint top scorer with 6 goals. Bronze, 28, the UEFA Women's Player of the Year, played a key part in England's run to the semi-finals. In athletics, World Athletics President Lord Coe is killing the sport by taking away disciplines from the Diamond League, says Jamaican sprinter Johan Blake. The 200 meters, 3,000 meters steeplechase, discus and triple jump will not feature at all meetings from next year. There will now be 12 disciplines at each of the 15 meetings because athletics governing body wishes to cut events for a 90-minute broadcast. British 2-time Olympic gold medalist Coe, who is also the Diamond League chairman, has said that the objective is to create a faster-paced, more exciting global league that will be the showcase for the sport. The 2020 Diamond League begins in Doha on 17th April. The 3,000-meter steeplechase and 200 meters will feature at 10 meetings, while 2 will stage discus and triple jump. None of the 4 disciplines removed from the core list will form part of the Diamond League final in Zurich in September. In tennis, Switzerland's 20-time Grand Slam champion Roger Federer will become the first living person to be celebrated on a coin in the country. The Federal Mint, Swiss Mint, will release a 20 Swiss franc silver commemorative coin in January. It plans to add a Federer SFR 50 gold coin in May. Thank you, Switzerland and Swiss Mint, for this incredible honor and privilege, said the 38-year-old world number 3. And finally, in cricket, New Zealand cricket has lodged a complaint with Tauranga police over the racist abuse directed at England bowler Jofra Archer in the first test. Archer, who was playing in his first overseas test, said he heard comments from one guy during the innings and 65-run defeat at Mount Maningo. NZC said it was unable to conclusively identify the person responsible despite an inquiry. NZC Chief Executive David White called the incident reprehensible. He said, should the person responsible ever re-offend, we believe we have enough information to link him to the Bay Oval incident. NZC's inquiry included studying CCTV footage, listening to audio, interviewing bystanders, and obtaining material on social media. Artie described the incident as disturbing, while New Zealand captain Kane Wilson said the abuse was horrific and that he hoped nothing like that ever happens again. New Zealand won the series 1-0 as the second test in Hamilton was drawn. That's it for sports. The General Weather Report is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. There will be mostly fair skies tonight. There will be partly cloudy skies in general tomorrow with a 50% or moderate chance of morning showers. Winds are east to southeast at 15 to 28 kilometers per hour or 8 to 15 knots with lighter spells overnight. Seas are 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet with northerly swells of 1.8 meters to 6 feet. Therefore, a high surf advisory remains in effect. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:25 a.m. And that's a wrap up the major news package for today, Tuesday, 30 December 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Team Unity not dismayed by failure of Prime Minister Bill and seeking to take a different approach. And 2020 budget presented in Nevis Island Assembly. Budget debate commences tomorrow. Regionally, High Court judge to rule on Dominica electoral reform matter. Internationally, President Trump blasts Macron brain-dead comment of NATO as nasty. And in sports, Barcelona forward Lionel Messi wins Ballon d'Or for record 6th time, while Megan Rapinoe wins Women's Ballon d'Or. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashon Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.